Well, hello. Welcome back to the Women's Meetup. I'm Kimberly Ewing, your host. And today we have Ariel Lovett. Welcome, Ariel.
Thank you.
How are you?
Glad to be here. I'm good.
Oh, good. Tell us, first of all, why we brought you on today. It's about the right to vote and women's history of rights. So tell us a little bit about your role in the community.
Yeah, well, I think the role why I'm here today and the role that I'm in here today, I think like all of us, I probably have several roles in this wonderful community, but I serve as the chair of voter services for the Nevada County League of Women Voters, which, by the way, since 2022 is Nevada County League of Women Voters rather than it was Western Nevada County. So we've fully embraced our eastern side, which we're really glad about. But anyway, so yeah, in that role, it's about furthering the mission of the League, which is to protect and expand voting rights. I mean, fundamentally, that is what we're about. We're a fully nonpartisan, grassroots, all-volunteer organization at our level.
Bless your heart,
yes,
as they say in the South.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to be on a board with no staff. I've been on several boards when you're a board member. But anyway, no, it's such critical work, and I'm glad to be a part of it and honored to do it with some other amazing League members who put in so much time and energy.
Well, and also this is a great year to register to vote. There's a lot going on locally, statewide, and of course through our country. I wanted to share a little bit. I thought this would be interesting for the audience and for us as women to tell a little bit about the history of women's rights. So let's just go back. In 1900, so not even that long ago, we had the right to keep our own earnings and hold property, own real estate. That's amazing, but also strange. In our time, that just seems inconceivable, but it happened. So 1900. Then, of course, we all know about the suffrage, and 1920, we found our voices loudest so we could have the right to vote. So that's only been 100 years, really.
And that is celebrating the 100 years of the League, which was established just 6 months before women got the right to vote. And it began as a mighty political experiment. They said to really help 20 million women who, suddenly became part of the electorate to carry out their right as well as our responsibility to vote.
Right. I mean, 20 million Americans that happen to be female, right? And so they got the final, they were able to have the vote. And then everything sort of changed from there because we were part of the voting system and part of the decision making. In 1963, so fast forward 43 years, women gained the right, to equal pay. But I have to say, we're still working on that today. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, and I don't know the statistic as it is right now, and it also varies in terms of whether, women of color, but yeah, the cents on the dollar is still not equal.
It's
so
still not
although we
equal.
have the right to have equal pay, there's still work to be done.
So still work to be done, but at least it became a change. And then, of course, in 1964, as we all know, the Civil Rights Act outlawed discrimination based on your gender, your race, or your religion. So I felt like, and still we're working on that as well. It's still a fight today about that.
Absolutely, and again, kind of what the League is about. So the League really grew initially, and although, of course, it is still fundamental to who we are and in our title, expanding women's right to vote, it's really about creating equal access to voting for everyone. And often that means for people who may have less opportunity to do so. So
correct.
There have been some, so in terms of creating opportunity for young people, for people who speak languages other than English.
Right.
And some of the ways that, there's some great achievements in terms of policy that the League has furthered that have really carried that out. The National Voter Registration Act, some of us know it as the Motor Voter Bill.
I love that.
I mean,
Motor voter.
We now take it for granted. My son turns 18 or my daughter turns 18. They are registered to vote at the DMV even before. So, but those pieces weren't there before,
Oh, no, they
so
weren't.
we had systems that would sort of structurally make it more difficult for certain populations
Right.
to be part of our democracy. And so the League really works to create that access. Another key piece of legislation was the Help America Vote Act in 2002, which was provisional balloting. It was updating voting systems, the Election Assistance Commission. So all these ways that we really, I think it's become easier and easier to vote, and yet still we have some structural barriers, more so in certain parts of the country, but we're really working on those pieces here too in terms of education and access.
Well, and personally, because I'm traveling here and there, and sometimes out of the country, I have done mail-in ballot for years as an option, and it's just been so convenient because maybe I can't get to the poll, but I can take my time to be wise and mindful and read through everything to make sound decisions. That's an amazing option too. I feel like that helps people get to it instead of saying, oh, on the day I forgot to vote, right?
Yeah.
Because the day can slip by you. So I love the mail-in option too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so it continues on too, Ariel. It's like when we talk about women and voter rights, you're talking about the interesting fact I wanted to talk about was 70% of female Americans were registered to vote in 2022. Wow. And conversely, males, 68%. So we actually were part, and this is according to Statista. Of course, we always want to check our resources. And Statista was saying in 2022, during the mid-year election-ish, women were at 70% registered votes. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I don't have the reference on this, but I think it's recognized that the 2020 election, we had record turnout overall, but especially among women, and women's participation was pivotal in battleground states and really highlighted the influence of women in shaping national politics. Also local politics though, and I don't want to lose that piece.
Right.
But in that 2020, some data show that in exit polls, women made up 53% of the electorate, up from, which kind of corresponds with your voter registration statistics, up from 51% in previous elections. And so really that turnout, that turnout and as you said earlier, kind of women sharing what's important to them, which often, has to do with healthcare, has to do a lot with education, and healthcare rights have been really important. So and again, we have these statistics on a national level, but local races and state propositions are also really important as well.
Yeah, since we're talking about that, let's roll into some of the local concerns or the propositions. Do you have that?
Yeah, well, I have state propositions.
Okay,
so one of the cool things that the League does, I think that we're known for locally, are forums. And I'm not going to go through all of them, and we don't have them finalized yet because we actually can't hold forums until till we have representation from sort of multiple candidates.
Sure.
So we're working with candidates. Invites went out this week.
Oh, great.
So we have a great team working on that, led by Jan Bedane. But those will be in September. So we'll be sharing out those dates. So the forums are upcoming, which are great to have the community come in person. They went virtual during COVID, but we really feel like it's great to be in person.
Absolutely.
We hold them at the Rood Center, at the board chambers. And it's a place where you can actually, being our community members, and can actually, meet and ask questions in person of your candidate. So those are coming up also.
Oh, that's great.
The League sponsors pros and cons. So sharing, again, we're a nonpartisan organization, so it's meant to share voter information and education so people can make informed decisions. And so we strive to provide a fair and balanced perspective. So we have 10 state propositions on the ballot. 3 of them are actually constitutional amendments. So, and 2 are general obligation bonds. So I think all really important for us to pay attention to. And I won't read through all of them, but they range from, a pretty large climate action bond, getting a lot of focus that would fund environmental protection, water infrastructure, I think is top of mind for a lot of us, energy projects, flood protection. There is also, one of the constitutional amendments, one has to do with removing involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime from the state constitution. Another one repeals Prop 8 and establishes a right to marry. So I'm just highlighting some of these to show kind of the broad range of interest. I think sometimes people think, or we hear sometimes like, well, you know, I don't really care. I have 2 equal candidates at the state Senate level. I don't really care. Or, you know, maybe some apathy, but I want to highlight these because I think there's something important for everyone in these propositions. And
Absolutely, especially constitutional amendments. I mean,
yeah, 3 of them. And 2 bonds,
important.
which is, taxation. Yeah.
I mean, propositions, I have to say, Ariel, I'm going to say they are hard sometimes to understand. And I love the pros and cons through the language because, you know, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. But then you're like, well, how fiscally responsible is this? Or how is that going to affect us, you know, as taxpayers? Or how is this going to benefit our community? You know, so those
all
are
of those
really
questions, and kind of trying to understand, the fiscal impact. So the league will bring, again, non-biased evaluation from the Legislative Analyst's Office, also looking at who is behind it.
Yes.
So who wrote the proposition, as well as what are the entities that are funding it on the pro and con side.
Right.
Can help you understand. Because you're right,
really
there's a lot of
wise.
complexity, and that's why we and that gets to the heart of the issue, right? Let's not vote and step back. So it's like, gosh, I don't understand, because not voting is also a vote. And so,
ding, let's say that one more time, Ariel.
you can say it.
Not voting is actually voting, but not maybe in the direction that we would want.
Exactly.
So
we want people to not feel bad, or, I mean, I think it is easy to feel like, wow, can be a little bit overwhelming.
Sure.
So the pros and cons will be holding again in person. We have
great.
a great team. Randy Swisley is a wonderful volunteer who's leading that up, and we're able to pull information from the state, from Ballotpedia, from a lot of different nonpartisan sources. There will be some time for questions too, and then we'll also be recording them thanks to Nevada County Media.
Yay!
So if folks can't tune in person, those will be on our website as well.
And such a friendly format. Tell us a little bit, for the people that are watching, when is that they can tune in or chime in or look online for that meeting that you're talking about?
I don't know the exact time. It's going to be September 23rd.
Okay,
but
September 23rd.
Checking
Everybody,
out
mark your dates.
Yes, mark the date for that. And then on our website, so just putting, League of Women Voters of Nevada County in your search bar and checking out our website, which we again have volunteers that do a great job providing not only our upcoming events, which this is moving into, and again, thanks for having us here today, moving into our kind of push season. We're getting out there. Hopefully you see posters all over the place about registering to vote right now. That's a push. And what I really encourage people to do, I hope, kind of like we're doing in this formal but informal way, but really have those informal conversations with your friends and with your family, and just double check and, kind of have these conversations. Like, for starters, are they registered to vote? Do they know how and where? And again, the League page is a really easy resource, of which there are others. I also want to share, Ubinet just today had an article. Pascal is doing a great job. Today's article speaks to local races, such as school boards and city councils.
Super important also.
Super important, yeah. So thanks to Pascal, but anyway, there's another resource. But just encouraging folks to have that conversation. Start now. Like, are you registered to vote? Yeah. Where are you learning about these propositions? Where are you learning about your candidates, about their voting records? What's important to you? So hopefully, as women, we all have our networks, our book clubs, and our hangouts, and
You'd be proud of me, Ariel. I have 4 nieces, actually 3 nieces and 1 nephew. They're all in their 18, 19, 20-year-old ranges, and I always send them texts. I'm like, I love you, and please vote.
Yes.
Vote.org. That is legit. I checked it out. Vote.org is a great place to just get yourself registered to vote. It's easy. I sent the link to my nieces and nephews that are, this will be their first election year. And I said, it's exciting. So get in there and vote.
Vote411.org is another great resource. I mean, it will tell you, it will populate as we get closer with all of the local races, but also it's like easily check if you are registered to vote and where your polling places might be and all of those things. So have those conversations. And you were asking me, I think we've talked about the criticality of the women's vote. I think another population super, super important to engage are our young people. I mean, for numerous reasons.
Yes.
The two that come to mind are, again, a powerful voting bloc that might have felt some frustration. And so we don't want that frustration to translate into apathy and not being
Correct.
part of. Like we want them to feel like they have agency. So
Right.
that piece, and then also this is the world that they're inheriting. These are the policies that are shaping their future. And you were asking me earlier kind of why I got involved in the league. And partly I've had I love our community. I've had my kind of my volunteer and professional life has been centered around community service.
Yeah.
And as both my kids are now in college, and kind of looking at the world through the lens of their eyes
Yes.
was really powerful too. And it's like, how do we, I have a couple analogies. Do we have a minute of time?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, one story, when I first got into public service, I love that story about the little girl saving the starfish on the beach. Do you know this story? So there's all these starfish that got, washed onto the shore, and she's putting them back, and they're dying from not being in the water. So she's putting them back one by one. And an old man is like, what are you doing? Like, that is not going to make any difference. Look how many thousands. And she puts another one back, and it said, well, it made a difference to that one. And that still actually gives me goosebumps. And though, as I moved, as I kind of continue along the path of life and career, I think about this other parable about the folks sitting having a picnic by the river, and someone comes by and they're drowning, and they rush and they, pull this person out, go back to the picnic. Then it's 2 more people just fighting for their lives in the water, and they pull them out. And then 3 more come down, and it's just like getting to be where they're struggling to save everyone, and they go upstream and find where there's this slippery slope, and they build a small fence. And that one gives me goosebumps too. I'm still such a sucker.
yes.
But
it's
that's
such
where
a
I feel
visual
like
story.
policy
Yeah.
and why, and to me, that's about being involved in the league, making sure that we have that we are engaged, that we're engaging all the voices who
Right.
deserve to be part of. I mean, I think it's both a right and a responsibility voting.
Absolutely.
But making sure, that we have the resources, education, access to be involved in that. And I think so that piece about our young people, whether it's my children or other children and young people that are inheriting this community and this earth.
Yeah. Ariel Lovitz from the Nevada County, say it again.
League of Women Voters.
League of Women Voters. Woo! We love that. Go to your website, links, wherever, and get on and register. We thank you so much, Ariel. It's always fun to talk to you, and
Yes.
you're such an inspiration. And we gotta do this. We gotta get involved and pay attention, because things are happening. So thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you in person to chat more about this at the next Women's Meetup. And thanks, Ariel.
Thank you. And
Take care. Yeah, we'll be back soon. Thank you so much.